Hey everyone, so welcome back to the BrewHouse. You may have noticed in a previous episode that we bought a whack of Pin Lock kegs, used Pin Lock kegs. Most of them hadn't been used since the 1990s. Didn't take too long to get them cleaned up, and I think we did a pretty good job. And now it's time to put them back together. And we're going to make a few of these into bright tanks, so stick around and I'll show you what we're going to do there. First off, I'd like to tell you, even though these are all called Corny kegs, only one of them, this one, is actually made by Cornelius. Pretty easy right off the top to tell it's made by Cornelius because all the Cornelius kegs have this cutout in the top. You can see the cutout. You know, it also says Cornelius on the side. Beyond that, the dip tubes are a little bit different. The actual Cornelius kegs have a bent dip tube because if you look right down inside, you'll see that the pickup is in the center, which also means that the base of the keg is also round. The non-Cornelius kegs pick up at the side, and you'll see here it's got a bump out on one side. I'll probably do a close-up so you can actually see that. So that one, you can't use any of the parts except for the lid interchangeably. It has different size posts. Even though it still takes the standard pin lock, it's got different threads. The posts are a little bit shorter. The dip tube is bent. So you have to treat that one separately. These ones are all Pin Lock kegs, but we've got them by 4 different manufacturers. We've got Firestone has made some of them. Alloy Products has made some. Heinz Manufacturing has made some, and there's a couple of others in there and out in the freezer already because I've already got some of them in action. So putting them back together is pretty easy. Because we bought them used, we figured we'd take them fully apart, clean them completely, and put together with brand new O-rings. And we just bought O-ring kits from the local homebrew store, and it has all of the parts that you need to put it back together. And it's really easy to do. But we're going to make some of these into bright tanks or bright kegs. And that's just for finishing the beer. We're going to be doing some lagers. So we're going to lager in those tanks. The sediment falls to the bottom. We're going to cut about a ½ inch off the bottom of the dip tube. And I'm just using a pipe cutter. Fairly easy. If you have a Dremel tool, you can use a Dremel tool. So you cut ½ inch off the bottom. And that will leave in these tanks about 500 milliliters of liquid in the bottom, along with all of the sediment, anything that comes out of the beer, yeast that comes out of the beer, other stuff that falls out, especially if you're fining with gelatin. And for our American friends, 500 milliliters is about 2 cups. So that's it. Comes off. I'll hit that a little bit with a file just to take off the sharp edge. A little bit of a sharp edge, not too bad. So putting them back together, the O-ring kit will come with 2 small O-rings, and those are for the dip tube and the gas tube. And so you just push those on. Another thing that you're going to notice when you buy a whack of old used kegs, the parts are going to be all kind of higgledy-piggledy. Some of the gas tubes are longer and shorter than others. Some of the straight dip tubes are actually bent. Not a big deal. You can get the parts for all of these. So the liquid dip tube goes in. And when you look inside the keg, you're going to see where it goes because it's going to go into a divot in the bottom. Here is the gas tube. So it gets a little O-ring as well. And in it goes. Now, luckily, even though we've got from several manufacturers, we've only got 2 different kinds of posts. We've got the Cornelius Keg Post, which has a different size thread, and all of these have the same thread. Now, there are some oddballs out there. So when you buy them, make sure you find out what kind of thread there is at the top and for the posts. Because even though they're all Cornelius Pin Lock Keg Posts, I think there's 4 or 5 different thread patterns. So make sure you get the right ones if you're getting replacement parts. We're also replacing some of the poppets. And instead of buying the poppets that are specific for each post type, we're just buying the universal poppets, and that's because we can also interchange these with the ball lock kegs. The gas post on a pin lock has two little pins that come out. So you slip on the O-ring and put that on there. And the liquid post has three little pins. And you slip that on there. Now you can buy a socket that specifically is for these, and it has little cutouts for the pins. Mine hasn't arrived yet, so I'm just using a spanner. I'll tighten those down. The lids are the same for all of these, and the pin lock lids have a pressure relief valve, but you can't manually release the pressure. We've also got a couple that are already in the lagering freezer that don't have this pressure relief valve at all. They've got a little horseshoe stamped in the top that is a break point, and I guess that's supposed to pop open if the pressure gets too high. These are rated for 130 psi. Even if you're forced carbonating in a quick carb situation, you're only going to go up to about 30, so pressure relief shouldn't be too much of a problem. And that's pretty much it. Really easy. So I'm going to finish. I'm going to tighten these down, sanitize them, and fill them with beer. Thanks for stopping by.